Hi, it's Kim, Notes from My Needle. Welcome to FlossTube number 7, Stitch With Me number 2. Today we are going to be working on Every Day as an Adventure by the Tiny Modernist. Looks like that. The area we're going to be working is going to be these mountains here. I know that picture isn't great because I print things off in black and white. I have my trusty pattern off camera so nobody can see it. Here's where I'm at with the stitching so far. Like I said, we're going to be working the mountains up here. I have my beverage. I have a strawberry colada iced tea from David's Tea in my turtle tea press. And I thought for this Stitch With Me I would do something a little bit different. I found one of the on somebody's blog, and if I can remember the blog where I found it, I will put it in the description box. A bunch of stitching tags, specifically for FlossTube or YouTube, things that other stitchers have done prior. And I thought it would be fun and something different to do one while I'm sitting here stitching, and the one I chose is the Organize Your Stitching tag, which I thought was pretty apt because one of my goals this year for 2019 is to be more organized, so I thought that this might be a good one to go for. So the first question is, how do I organize magazines? And I personally don't hold on to a lot of physical magazines. We live in a mini home, which is essentially like a trailer, only it has no wheels on the bottom. It's fixed in place. It only moves if and when a giant truck comes and takes it. And we don't have a lot of storage space. So typically what I do is I will either stitch what I want from the magazine immediately. I will pull the pages of the pattern that I want out of the magazine, or I just buy the digital copy of the magazine and eliminate the need to store it altogether. The next question is, how do I organize kits? And I don't typically buy kits. I prefer to buy patterns and then kit them up myself using either threads I have on hand or going out to buy fancy floss, or I do have quite a large collection of DMC, so I typically use DMC. I do have a few of these smaller Mill Hill kits, but they're small and easy to store. I have maybe 3 or 4 of them, and they're all in a Ziploc together, and then that Ziploc is in my stitchy bin, which is just one of those Sterilite plastic storage containers from Walmart. The next question is, how do you organize digital patterns? And I use Google Drive. Google Drive, everything gets saved to Google Drive. That way, if my computer ever dies or it starts acting funny, I don't lose anything that I've purchased, and I can print it whenever I like from Google Drive. So it's convenient for me to do it that way. It saves a lot of space on my computer as well, because I have quite a few patterns digitally, and it's just easy. The next question is, how do I organize books? And that's the easiest one on this list because I don't have any. Like I said, we live in a mini home, so storage is at a premium. And at one point I did have a couple of Joan Elliott's books. I think I had the Ultimate Joan Elliott Collection, and there were a couple of other ones that I had. And I ended up selling them. I stitched what I wanted out of them, and I mean, I love Joan Elliott's pieces, but there are so many other pieces that I want to stitch, and although her pieces are gorgeous, they take a very long time because there's usually a lot of colors, a lot of Kreinik, a lot of beads. So I mean, not mirabilia beads, but still, it's a lot, and they take a lot of time for me. Anyway, I don't know about anybody else, but I just typically, oops, I think I have a knot. Yeah, I do. There we go. But yeah, I just typically don't buy them because I don't have the space, and a lot of the times it's usually only 1 or 2 patterns that I really enjoy in the book, and I don't see the purpose of buying an entire book just for 1 or 2 patterns. Next question is, what do I keep with my whips? So, oh, did I mess that up? I did. Wrong hole. So with my whips, I typically will keep the pattern. I will keep the threads for the project, unless there's colors that I need to pull for something else, but typically I will keep the threads for the project. I have multiple, I wouldn't say I have full sets of DMC, but I have multiples of a lot of colors just because I like to keep the threads with my whips. Sometimes I'll keep a hoop or a Q-snap depending upon how long I think the project's going to take, or how many other projects I have on the go, or if I need that frame, or like if I need that hoop or Q-snap for something else. But typically I try to keep it in there, that way it's ready to go. I can just grab it and go sit and stitch without having to search out a lot of the materials. I keep needles in with my whips, a needle minder sometimes a pair of scissors if I can spare them from another project will stay in there. If I have a working copy, if it's a larger project, typically I will have a working copy as well as a highlighter so that I can mark off what I've done. Smaller projects, I don't really worry about that a whole lot because, I mean, I don't really get too lost in the pattern. In theory, I have been known to miss stitches and put extra rows in, which I did last night. I originally had tried to film this video last night when I was working over here on this lantern, and I couldn't get my camera angle right, and then I noticed that I had added an extra row in here, and so I had to unpick all of this. I hadn't done this part yet, and I hadn't done this side, but I had to unpick all of this and then take that row out and start again. So let's see, where am I at? The next question is, how do I store my whips when they are not in use? Some are in project bags that I've made. There's a really good tutorial on here, and if I can find it again, I will link it, on how to do the vinyl front bags. And so I've made quite a few of those for my own projects, and I have a few of my whips stored in those. And then I have a few of my whips just stored in zipper bags from IKEA. They're freezer bags. And then anything I'm not working on at the moment is all in my stitch bin, that Sterilite bin that I bought from Walmart. It's not very big because I try to limit the amount of whips. Like right now, how many whips do I have? I think I have 8. I have 3 Joan Elliott pieces, 1 Mill Hill, this one, that's 5, Tiny Modernist Halloween Sal, I know I have more than that. I just can't remember what they are right now. But I try to keep them to a minimum because I just, again, I don't have the storage space really, and it stresses me out to have so many projects on the go. Alright. Let's see here. And the next question is, where do I store FOs before they become FFOs? And right now, all of my FOs are currently ironed and in a pile on my sewing table. I plan to make a project roll using Vana, the Twisted Stitchers tutorial on how to do that. And then so that they actually have a place to live that is not my sewing table, because there's always the potential that, you know, something will get spilled on them, or I'll end up having to re-iron them more than likely, which is fine. But if I have them all in the project roll until I figure out how I'm going to finish them off, then I can just put them in my stitchy bin with everything else, and they're all neat and tidy and somewhat organized and off my workspace, so that I can actually get some of the sewing that I want to do done as well, without having to worry about where I'm going to move all these cross stitch pieces, so that I can actually use my sewing table for its intended function. And then the last question in this tag is, do I have any tips for organizing cross stitch? I am definitely not the right person to ask about that, because I'm not very organized in general. I'm trying to fix that. I don't know how well I'm succeeding. It's only partway through January, but well, we'll be halfway through January tomorrow, because this will be the 14th when I'm filming this. And what works for me, living in the type of home that I live in, which is a mini home, may not work for somebody else who has access to more storage or who likes to keep more whips. So I guess like organization is subjective, maybe, to each their own. I mean, I try not to keep a lot of pattern stash or stash in general. I typically stitch, then I pass along. I do have a small 4-drawer antique dresser that my mother-in-law gave me that I refinished, and I use that to hold fabrics, glues, finishing supplies, a few other miscellaneous crafts, and that seems to work pretty well, in addition to the stitchy bin. And then I have one of those clear double-sided thread boxes for storing bobbinated DMC, but I haven't really gotten too far when it comes to bobbinating. Like, one side is completely full of bobbins of DMC, but the other side, because I haven't had time to bobbinate, because bobbinating takes forever, is just skeins of DMC just smushed into the different holes by number. So like all the 800s are in a couple together, all the 900s, except etc. I mean, it works for right now. Eventually I would like to get the rest of that DMC bobbinated so that I can use and find things within that case of threads the way it's intended, so I can have them all in numeric order and find things quicker and faster. I think I should probably start. I have a happy planner, and I think what I'm gonna do is start marking down what threads are with which whips, because I find that I'll forget that I have certain colors in with whips, and then I'll just go and buy another skein for another project, and then I realize, oh wait, I already have this bobbinated. It's just in this project box that I completely forgot about. And then that's how I've ended up with multiples of a lot of my DMC, is because I just didn't realize that I already had it when I was starting another project and just went out and bought it and replaced it. If anybody has any better tips for organizing cross stitch or thread or anything else, please, oh, sorry, the camera's wobbling there. Please feel free to share them with me, because I would gladly appreciate any suggestions in regards to organization, because It is not my strong suit. I'm trying, but I don't know how it's going to go. Like, I've already given up on the whole I'm going to stitch certain things, certain days thing. I think I'm just going to grab a project and work it till it's done, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's going to work the best for me, and I don't know. Right now, I'm just... Some of these smaller pieces are calling to me, I think just because I like the accomplishment of having a finish. But, I mean, who doesn't like the accomplishment of having a finish, though, really? I'm sorry if you can hear my dishwasher in the background. I'm sitting in my kitchen because the light is really good in here, and I have the table to stabilize the camera, so if you can hear the dishwasher in the background, I apologize if it's bothering you. I find it kind of soothing personally, but I know not everybody's like that. So I changed all of the colors pretty much in this pattern because I only had, I think, I want to say maybe 4 of the called for, and I didn't want to run out and buy any more DMC, so I just looked up the DMC numbers on my phone, and then I just color matched as best I could colors that were similar to the called fors, and I'm liking how it's turning out so far. I especially like the tail of that arrow there, that pink and orange and turquoisey combination. I really like that. I think that looks really pretty. This is gonna go, once I'm finished, I think I'm gonna finish it like the photo of the finished piece in the pattern, where it looks to be mounted on map board with like maybe batting underneath to make it look puffy, sorry, words are hard, to make it look puffy, and then it looks to be finished on, I almost want to say like barn board maybe, and with a hanger. I just like the look of it. I think it's pretty cool, and I think I'm gonna finish it the same way. I think it would look cute. Hang on, I need to count. 1 second. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so I think it would look really cute. And then I'm gonna hang it, this is going on my like adventure / travel wall that I was talking about, where I have, like, right now the only thing I have hung there is that Stitchrovia piece with the Tolkien quote on it, "Not all those who wander are lost." And I figured I'd put that one there, and then I have another Stitchrovia piece that I want to do that also hints to adventure, and I do have another piece that was in an issue, a 2016 issue of, I think, The World of Cross Stitching. I can't remember the exact issue. I know Steph from Just Keep Stitchin' is working on it right now also, and I'm pretty sure a couple videos back she gave the issue number that the piece was in. But it's another Stitchrovia piece, and it says something to the extent of "A journey of 1,000 paces starts with one step," or something to that effect anyway, and I thought that was really nice as well. I really enjoy stitching on Stitchrovia pieces. Well, Emma Congdon is the designer's name, but she has an SD store under the name Stitchrovia, and I really enjoy her pieces just because they're normally really bright and colorful, and even though there's a lot of colors and sometimes a lot of changes, they're typically somewhat quick to stitch. I mean, there are some more involved pieces, but I just really enjoy the look of her pieces and they fit my aesthetic, so I've stitched a lot, well, not a lot, I have a lot of her stuff. Anyway, I have babbled on for 20-ish minutes now. I think I am gonna go stitch some more on this, enjoy the rest of my iced tea, put my feet up, stay indoors because it is like -20 here today in my town, Celsius. I have no idea what that would be in Fahrenheit. It's cold. Let's just say it's cold. And I think I'm just going to relax indoors, maybe grab a snack, put on last night's episode of Outlander, and relax and stitch the day away. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for choosing to watch my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!